Perfect Cocktail Pursuits is an entertaining, behind-the-scenes peek at cocktail culture. Since 2010, I've traveled the globe pursuing the perfect cocktail. I showcase the creative excellence of this exciting industry. Welcome to Perfect Cocktail Pursuits. My name is Rosalina Africano, and I'm your host. My special guest today is Eileen Wayner.
That's right.
Eileen Wayner is special because she is the CEO of Tales of the Cocktail. I am so thrilled and delighted that you're here today.
Thank you.
We are in downtown DC. You might think we were in New Orleans based on how sexy this room is.
It's almost like it was on purpose, right?
Yeah, it's like we planned it.
Mhm.
Anyway, this is Dauphine's. Dauphine's has been so generous to not only host Perfect Cocktail Pursuits today, but they've provided our cocktails today, so we don't even have to make them.
Thank goodness, because fact about me, I am not a bartender. I have absolute respect for the profession and the career, but I'm still learning how to make perfect drinks.
Well, we share that in common. I'm not a bartender either, but I am so thrilled to have created Perfect Cocktail Pursuits so that I can contribute to this industry in the best way I know how. We always start Perfect Cocktail Pursuits with a cocktail.
Love it.
And yours is called?
The Napoleonic Code.
The Napoleonic Code. This is a lower ABV cocktail.
Yep. Lillet Blanc.
Lillet Blanc.
Yep. And it's a spritz, basically.
Okay, so it's a Lillet Blanc spritz.
Yep.
And mine, this is, of course, our traditional hurricane. So cheers. It's a delight to host you at Perfect Cocktail Pursuits. Thank you so much.
Delicious.
It's perfect.
It's perfect.
Eileen and I are going to talk about Tales of the Cocktail. I'm so excited to come this year.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear it. This year is 21 for us, so we are literally coming of legal age, drinking age in the U.S., which, if you know anything about New Orleans, we like to celebrate birthdays, so we're really looking forward to a massive, massive year of celebration, and our theme this year is Vitalize, and so we're really excited to explore how we can continue to work together to vitalize this industry. So. 21 years.
I did see that theme as Vitalize, and I really like the motion sense that I have, moving forward sense that I have when I read the theme.
And innovating, thinking forward, like where do we want this industry to go? How do we make sure it's sustainable? How do we think about lifestyle?
Energy.
All of it.
Anyway, Vitalize is perfect. I would love for you to just give me a quick overview. What is Tales of the Cocktail and why do I want to go?
Yeah. So Tales of the Cocktail, which I think is still a little known, is we are a 501c3 nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
We're based in New Orleans, although our team in a post-COVID world is based all over the States, which is amazing. But our work is to educate, support, and advance the global drinks industry. And so we do this year-round. Obviously, we're here to talk about Tales of the Cocktail. That's our major fundraiser. That is maybe our biggest event of the year. But, you know, we approach education year-round. We work with our education committee to actually create the amazing 68 seminars, exclusive tastings, and workshops that you'll see at Tales. And that takes literally almost a year to do. We've got industry representatives from literally all regions of the world in all different areas of the industry, whether it's a bartender or operator or working for a brand or any variation of profession within the industry. And they help us really craft what our cocktail, education slate looks like year over year. We had 350 submissions this year from all over the world of people who wanted to present their ideas at Tales.
That's amazing.
350. And we had to whittle that down to 68. And so as you can imagine, that process is very intensive and takes a lot of thought power to make sure that each and every topic has a really interesting representative group of moderators and panelists that bring different perspectives, whether that's regional, whether that's within the industry, whatever will enrich and make that conversation deeper, richer, and balanced is what this committee helps us do.
You can't cover all of Tales as an individual because there's so many different things going on at the same time. So you really have to be focused and figure out how you're going to consume all of the material that's presented because it's broad and it's interesting. And
yeah, I will say I give anybody the advice that's coming to Tales for the first time that you have to have a game plan, right?
You have to have a game plan ahead of time.
And so think about what what is of interest to you. If it's education, amazing. So plan your day. I recommend 2 to 3 seminars in a day because there are literally through the course of the week 337 events and counting across New Orleans.
Right.
And we'll talk about that in a second. But approach it with, okay, what am I interested in? Is it spirits education? Is it beyond the bar so I can learn how to take care of my body, or sustainability, or substance use within the industry? What are the things that you're passionate about so that you can craft your schedule around that? And then have it colored in by all of the amazing brand experiences, parties, activations that happen across the city. And so you have to go in with a plan.
Last year was my first year. I made plans to have 6 different interviews ahead of Tales.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was pre-planning for before the week even started. And then I ended up missing seminars so I could do interviews. And I ended up at night going out to the most amazing, opulent parties that is what you see on TV.
Truly.
You know what I mean? They are larger than you can imagine.
Yeah. I mean, these parties truly, like the reason that these brands invest in this community is they know that bartenders, bar directors, bar operators, they want to build their relationships with these bartenders. So they're literally showcasing the very best of what they're able to offer. And
elegant,
spectacular,
opulent. I mean, you can't come up with enough words to describe.
Creative, immersive. I mean, it's amazing. There's so many words. So many words.
And we aren't exaggerating.
No.
We are not exaggerating. So with that being the case, you know, we've had a chance to talk about how broad Tales experience can be for an individual. I'm going to start talking about how I'm going to approach Tales, because you have to surgically figure out your movements through the week throughout New Orleans so that you can get the most for your experience.
Yep.
So for me, as somebody who has a cocktail video series, I'm thinking about content, and I'm thinking about who are the people running the seminars? What is the content that's being presented in these seminars? But let's not overlook the fact that all of these cocktail book authors are doing signings throughout the week that you have to catch in shifts at the bookstore, where you can also buy all the books and all of the bitters and other wonderful products there as well. So you really have to pay attention and be in the game if you're going to make the most of this. I've already started to fill out my Google Calendar, and there are splotches of events on each day, and it
hour reminders.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I like to talk about, the focus for me is the seminars.
Yeah.
The first seminar that I am just jazzed about, Africa is Now, presented by Doucet, Colin Asare Appiah. I had a chance to interview with him last year for this book, Black Mixolins.
Yep.
And they've been nominated for an award this year. I mean, everybody is really involved.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Colin, for the record, has been pushing to do programming on the continent of Africa from the very moment that I've met him. And so the fact that he's bringing just this incredible panel to Tales is incredible. And I hope it opens, the industry's eyes to just the immense talent that is happening.
Yes.
And hopefully pique some interest. And maybe there's a future program down the line.
I'm looking forward to that. I will be there. I've had the opportunity to not only host a few interviews down in Accra, Ghana, but I've had a chance to visit some of these fantastic cocktail bars there. And one that I'd like to give a little shout out to would be Front Back. Front Back is a speakeasy, and you go in the front. You have no idea that you're about to walk into this very elegant spot where hospitality is just clear. It's on point.
Love it.
And I'm looking forward to meeting Kojo. I didn't have a chance to meet him when I went to Front Back because he was in Chicago. Sure. We kind of crisscross, but I'm looking forward to interviewing him at Tales.
We've already got
this set up, so I'm looking forward to seeing Kojo. Other seminars I'm thinking about, I had a chance to have a drink with Chucky Tom in London.
Amazing.
Chucky is such an interesting woman, and she is running the charge for this is what Indigenous representation looks like.
Yep.
This is not to be missed. I can't wait to see her speak. She's a very interesting lady.
I mean, Choki is I think it was last year. Forgive me, I forget the timeline, but they brought one of our very first Indigenous panels, fully Indigenous representation panels, to Tales of the Cocktail, and I mean, Choki does phenomenal work in this space, making sure that attention is drawn to representation done authentically, and I think these conversations will be hugely beneficial, and so grateful that they're able to participate this year.
You know, the importance about Indigenous representation in an organization is not minor.
Right.
Very few organizations are bringing Indigenous voices in. So that really, I think, puts Tales far beyond peers other organizations.
Well, I owe that to the committees that we fold into our process to help guide us and make sure that they're provoking, like making sure every panel, every conversation we're having has a diverse set of voices, perspectives. And I think, the conversations that Choki has around ingredients and conversations that
white sage, do not use white sage.
100%. But I think there's a lot of consumer and trade education and relearning, frankly, that needs to happen. And so grateful to have them as part of this year's event.
These are not glossed over topics. We're talking about
these are heavy conversations.
Tough conversations that are necessary to have.
Yeah.
The other one that I'm looking forward to, Amy Ward, my friend down in Baltimore. Yeah. Amy Ward is going to be talking about crafting cocktails, safety and respect, how to reimagine the hospitality industry through bystander intervention.
Yes.
It's important to talk about the fact that we need to take care of one another.
Yes.
And we need to keep an eye, being situationally aware if somebody at the bar isn't at 100%.
Yeah. Well, and you need also like a set of tools as to how to act in situations that are always wildly uncomfortable. And you need to know, what are the signs? How do you act? And we've been fortunate enough to have bystander intervention training, I think really since the foundation took over in 2018. And it's so critical. And each year, they're purposely small classes because they have to be very intimate. And I think it's a 4 or 5 hour training session. Oh. But everybody who goes through it is fundamentally changed and so much more aware of their surroundings and how to protect their teams and themselves.
Right.
Could not recommend this more for people who are in the industry. It is a critical set of skills and tools as to how you assess your environment and how to be safe. And so Amy is so brilliant and has been with us for a long, long time. And so having her part of this is exceptional.
I agree.
You've got such a great list here.
Well, the thing is I have to go attend one and then disappear and attend the other and see what I can glean from both, because sometimes they overlap. But guess what? As long as I can get a little bit from each, I'm going to be pretty happy.
Definitely.
Thirst Trap, Mindful Drinking in the Sober Curious Movement, presented by Franklin & Sons and Lear's Non-Alcoholic. My friend Derek Brown, I had the opportunity to interview after Tales last year. I always agree with people who are based in the DC area. Yeah. Let's interview after Tales because there's so much going on.
Don't do it there.
Let's get together locally. And he was gracious enough to do that with me. And I've learned a lot from Derek Brown about no and low tempo drinking.
Sure.
It wasn't.
Drinking. Yeah, there's a lot of different names for it.
Yes.
Tempo,
and I
session.
Learned so much last year about it because, I like a boozy drink. That's the kind of girl I am. I like the flavor. I like the euphoria that goes with it. But I've been chugging water in between drinks to try to care for myself. But the idea of tempo drinking is brilliant. Mm-hmm. It's just brilliant. And that way you can last through the whole experience.
I think there's so many ways to approach it now. And there's so many incredible products out there. Lyre's, Franklin & Sons, all these folks that are like Seed Lip, all these different brands that are really providing options, whether you want a non-alc classic cocktail, or if you want to play with and experience a whole different set of flavors that are flavor-led as opposed to spirit-led.
Right.
And it just creates an environment where you can make decisions about your health and wellness and what you want your evening to look like, and still have incredible, delicious drinks. Whether that means for you moderating your evening and making sure you're sipping a non-alc in between your hurricanes.
Yes, exactly.
Or if you don't want to drink at all and you want to come out and socialize and still, be in a bar, which is a hub of a community, and be around your friends, you still have options, right? And you can still feel good and participate in a way that's, authentic to you.
I really took to heart the interview that I had with Derek Brown about mindful drinking. He wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
And it has given me an opportunity to be grounded with myself, with my own drinking, and ask, how many drinks do you really need?
Sure.
I mean, that's an important question for oneself. And to know where you are on the scale so that you don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
So you need to be responsible. Exactly. So I'm looking forward to that. Breaking barriers, boosting profits, how women in leadership drive business growth. Julia is in Artesian in London.
So fabulous.
Boy, does she make a great cocktail.
She makes an amazing cocktail. She also joined our education committee this past year too. So we get the benefit of a brilliant mind on our education committee. But yeah, she's incredible. And obviously she's created a space all of her own as a woman, and she's got some really terrific insights that she's going to share in that. Good one.
I'm looking forward to hearing from her. I'm looking forward to hearing from all of these folks we've talked about so far. The list is extensive, and I do want to cover a few more before we start to talk about other things. Why don't we slip out of the conversation of seminars and talk about some other highlights that are going on at Tales, because I can get lost and talk about these seminars all day, but we'll get back to that toward the end of this. What I do want to talk about, however, are some of the highlights that I think are going to be memorable this year.
I want to hear yours. I've got some for me too.
Well, mine, I mentioned already the bookstore and bitters market and how interesting it is to be able to go to Tales and meet the people who write these books that fill all of our shelves.
Absolutely.
And they're pretty much, next year's fodder for recognition. I mean, it was wonderful to meet with Colin for Black Mixcellence as well as Tamika, and have a chance to not only read their book, but to kind of get to know and watch their growth over the last year. That's been fun.
That's fun. And each of these books brings a really different perspective, because some of them are cocktail books, right? Some of them are about the culture and history of the drinks industry. Some of them are just about a really myopic, strange, bizarre ingredient. It's just there's
Doctors
literally
and distillers with Camper English. Not only did he come out with a really lovely book last year called Doctors and Distillers, which gives you a lot of historic background of ingredients that, is why we traditionally make the classic cocktails we make.
Yeah.
But also this year, his book is spectacular. The ice book.
Yeah.
Ice is such a huge topic in this industry.
I mean, I meant to look up that stat the other day, but we've had dozens of seminars over the years on ice. It literally impacts everything about your drink.
It's 25% of the volume.
It is
good cocktail. That's not minor.
It's not.
A few other highlights I see. Celebrating the spirit of inclusion. A 2-day event celebrating diversity, equality, inclusion, and all things hospitality. I don't know how I'm going to fit meeting Tory folks.
Oh, have you met Tori?
No, I haven't. I haven't met him yet. I look forward to it. But in between all these seminars, if this is going on for 2 days,
just pop over.
I'll pop over. Okay, good.
Ture, he's incredible. He founded Writing Tables, and we've been smart enough to fund him through our grants program, which is another one of our sort of year-round initiatives as we issue grants to fund organizations and people who are solving problems for either their local community or for the industry at large. And he's created such a dynamic program through Turning Tables, where he's connecting underserved youth with really compelling training to position them in a very clear career pathway for hospitality work. And he has fought tooth and nail for it. As we were looking at potential grant ideas this year, you can see the reverberations of his work, where different cities across the world are starting to see that these types of models work really well. And if we want a different future for this industry, there's folks like Ture who are doing this work and setting a goal for us as an industry and how we want to affect it and how we want to make sure we're moving youth along to be the next generation. So he's incredible. You got to meet him.
I look forward to meeting him. I can't wait. He's definitely on my target list.
And he's just so fun. It's just a delight.
Piggybacking on that conversation you just had from his influence, the bottom line is Tails having a partnership with Turning Tables
Sure.
is so important because this industry just isn't pouring a drink.
Right.
There's discipline, there's creativity, there's also ways to get recognized in this industry, hospitality as a whole,
Absolutely.
as opposed to, eating what you kill. There's an opportunity to really grow and flourish.
Yep.
And I think that Tails gives that platform.
Look, this is a career.
Yes.
It is a career. It is a profession. It is skilled.
Yes.
And I think, the more we can pour resources, energy, leverage our network and make sure that people understand that and are given tools to advance their careers, that is definitely part of the foundation's mission.
Right, right.
And it's a long road, but I mean, it's an important one and we've got to work towards it.
I think you're working toward it.
We're working towards it.
I think you're working toward it.
We're doing it.
So 2 other things that I wanted to mention as highlights: the 17th annual Spirited Awards red carpet and ceremony. So last year I'd made all of these plans to interview folks before Tails, and I, was very myopic, and I'm like prepping for these interviews, but I didn't go to the Spirits Award last year. Just,
You were busy.
I was busy, right? And I was volunteering, which was my entrance into being exposed to so many different parts of Tales, right? But I interviewed Lynn House. She was a Spirited Awards winner.
Oh my!
I interviewed the cocktail lovers,
Yeah.
Gary and Sandre,
Yeah.
a Spirited Award winners, and I didn't know until after the interview.
Like who you were talking to? Oh my God.
That they were
What
the
is the
award
light?
winners. So I put a big banner at the end. Congratulations
That's
on your
awesome.
Spirited
And they're all
Award.
so humble and such
Didn't
beautiful
even
souls.
bring it up.
Yeah.
Either of them. Funny.
If you haven't seen Lynn House's acceptance speech, you absolutely have to watch
I
it
will
from
look
last
I'll
year.
look
It is
for it.
so powerful and beautiful, and she's such an incredible individual.
Right.
But
I
I
met-
love that you interviewed her.
I interviewed Sandra and Gary, and I was fangirling over them, like, oh my God, you guys.
And they're just everyone in this industry is so humble and lovely in that regard.
And hospitable.
And hospitable.
And hospitable.
Truly.
That's what makes this industry so special, is that everybody's made to feel welcome. And it doesn't matter who you are, what walk of life you're from. Please come welcome. Have a drink.
And I think that honestly is like, in summation, what makes Tales so special is because you have all of these hospitality experts, professionals, and just like live by that. Come to Tales, and it is the warmest, friendliest,
Welcoming
place that you'll find.
Yeah.
You'll bump into people like Dave Wondrich and Sandra in the hallway as a young bartender, and they're happy to talk to you, and they're happy to exchange information. And I mean, that goes from really any of the industry legends. Like, people specifically put themselves in the hallway to bump into.
They do.
To bump into, up and coming folks through the industry.
It's
to make sure it just keeps going. It's cool.
It is way cool.
It's way cool.
This year you've changed. Instead of Dame Hall of Fame, which I was able to volunteer in order to go. That was so cool.
Style. I like how you do this.
It doesn't matter how you get in the room. You have to just be in the
gotta be in the
room.
room.
I was in the
Very
room. Anyway, Dame Hall of Fame last year was really cool because both Tracy and Nicola, yes, both of them have really made strides in the whiskey and Scotch industry and really made their marks. And then they were the last names, right? Because you totally switched this to something called the Catalyst.
Yes, we have rebranded.
You've rebranded
to the Catalyst Luncheon. The Dame Hall of Fame alumni group, is still very much a part of this. They are the group, the individuals that help us nominate and select each year's recipients.
Right.
And so, the edict and like the goal of this group really fundamentally hasn't changed, other than to be a little bit broader. We're looking to continue to recognize people who have been marginalized in our industry, or have been underserved or not recognized, or doing work to specifically make this industry more equitable, working at those intersectional points to make sure that we're addressing issues in the industry. And so, it's a little bit broader, but it's still going to recognize people, women, folks that identify as women, or folks that are just not, represented in our industry. That's the point of this luncheon. And so we're really excited this year. I think we have about 1 week or 2 weeks until we announce. Forget what day of the week it is. But we're excited to announce this year's speakers. And I mean, they're incredible. They're going to be they'll truly represent what this group does. And I think that you were in the room last year, but it is so powerful.
It is powerful.
So powerful, the stories that these individuals share about their experiences, and I think there's just a common feeling of love and support in that room that like is so powerful for the industry. That to me is one of my favorite events, and that closes out the week on Friday. Whew.
It's a long week.
Everyone leaves in tears, but like the best possible tears, like just like a, I don't know, like a healing rain of tears.
It's a full week, and it
is.
is certainly a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes.
You know, why don't we switch back then and talk about a few more of the seminars?
I don't think we've clarified for your viewers. We've got 3 tracks of education.
Tell me about them.
So we've got business for folks that own a bar or interested in owning a bar or want to learn sort of best practices on a specific, set of skills. We have business. We've got culture, which is all about the culture of the industry. So things like you've already talked about Africa Is Now and some of these really interesting looks at like culture across our industry. And then we've got Beyond the Bar, which really tackles subjects that, focus on the whole bartender, topics that, are oftentimes very difficult around diversity, around like equity within our industry, wage, sustainability, things that we want to make sure are changing and evolving in our industry, all happen through that. Parenthood in the industry. There's a lot of submissions this year on parenthood.
Yes, Jenny Felt is a relatively new mom, and I'm sure she's balancing her life between her new child as well as all of the amazing things she does with Grey Goose. That party last year that she put together was so
epic.
opulent. It was like New York and New Orleans. I was a little confused.
We got it all.
We got it all. Well, I think it's really important that you mention those tracks, because what I've noticed about myself is I'm kind of blinded by something, and I get I fall down this rabbit hole.
Sure, yeah.
And so like when I read your first press release, hey, we're announcing our seminars. I'm like, great, look at all these seminars. But I didn't think to go to the website to see the full schedule. I tuned into all of these seminars, and I'm bouncing between culture and Beyond the Bar. And the third one is business, because not only is the topic interesting, but there's also people that I want to see that are very influential. And so I don't have a track. I'm just like, who can I see? So no, I think it's important that can help you kind of narrow down your focus. Am I a business focused person? Or am I Beyond the Bar? Because all of them are important topics to be covered and will contribute to the whole ecosystem of your time behind the bar.
And I think too, as you look at Tales at Large, we're scheduled the 3rd week of July. So it's July 23rd through 28th. So you've got effectively like 5 days that you can potentially program, right? And so on the way we host our event or our conference or our festival, depending on how you want to frame it, we host all of our programming on site at the Ritz Carleton property. So all the seminars, we've got activations, sponsor activations, tasting rooms. So any given day has between 20 and 25 tasting rooms on site. And so this year we've got a different ticket model that allows you to either purchase a day tasting room pass. So for $45, if you just want to experience, you're interested in whiskey, you're interested in rum, you can actually come to Tales for the day and experiencing those tasting rooms. And then you can come for the next day and really focus on education. So there's a lot of options as to how you want to pursue your experience at Tales that I hope you can sort of design. And then beyond that, I think I threw up number 337. We've got spirited dining and drinking events. We've got these massive offsite parties. We've got guest shifts. We've got collaborations where bartenders from all over the world are collaborating with local New Orleans bartenders. And the just sort of magic of that collaboration it can't be missed. You got to go and experience it. So you've got, Singapore bartenders, coming, and actually we've got 4 different Singapore bars coming to host day-long residencies at Tales this year. We've got Fura, we've got No Sleep Club, we've got Elephant Room, we've got Republic. So as part of your tasting room pass, you can actually go and sit in, which will be a build-out bar of each of those bars, and actually have a cocktail with the bar team from Singapore. Which
I sat at the bar at SG Club.
Oh, cool!
And I asked him, "Are you coming to Tales?" He's like, "I gotta run this bar."
It's amazing. Yeah, Shingo and his team are incredible. We were able to host the SG Club at Atlas Bar in Singapore, and oh my goodness, like just the caliber of talent on those 2 teams what a privilege to be in that room and to taste their drinks. Anybody who tells me that this is not a skilled profession can pack salt.
Yeah,
Because
they don't know.
They have no
They
idea.
have no idea. They're just ignorant. They're just ignorant
It's
to
true.
it. Don't have the exposure. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of discipline, and it's a lot of learning.
Yeah.
It's a lot of learning. That I think it's really important that you take the opportunity to talk about tales in a more well-rounded way than I am, because I'm really seminar focused
Sure,
and focused on the bookstore and the author signings, because that's really where I'm going to have my most interesting conversations. But there are so many ways for a cocktail enthusiast, a bartender, a bar owner,
Yep.
to all of the spirit reps who are there and all of the cocktail innovation people who are there to interface with Tales. I just want to shout out to everybody that works for Tales of the Cocktail Foundation.
Thank you.
Because it takes a full year to plan the rich schedule and the content that goes along with it, and to coordinate all of the people on all of the committees. It's mind-blowing.
I got to say, I got to plug my team here. If
Yeah.
you'll forgive me. But I have an all-women 14-person team that does year-round work in support of this industry. And I could not be prouder of the passion that group pours into every single day.
Let's call them out. Who's there?
Are you kidding? Everybody.
Everybody?
Let's see.
Yeah.
We've got my department leads, the folks that run the teams. Lola Thomas, who sits on top of our programming. She and Megan and Tamara on our team run everything from grants and our philanthropy and development opportunities to our education to some policy work that we're working on. So on my events and programming team, I have Alex and Bree, who literally are two human beings that take care of all the logistics for the festival, in addition to the Cocktail Apprentice program, which I'd love to talk about in a second, Spirited Awards, Catalyst Luncheon, all of the hotel logistics, like incredible team. The Cocktail Apprentice program is one of the foundation's initiatives that I'm most proud of. This group are the ones that are literally behind the scenes for the entire week of the festival, batching drinks, processing citrus, working with moderators on all the different cocktails they want to pour in their sessions. This dream team in the evenings, gets to meet with brand representatives, industry folks to just help them along with their career. So they leave Tales equipped with high volume service, connected to a network that, literally goes on to be the biggest and brightest in the industry. Megan Dorman, who, runs several bars in New York City, she is a former cap. There are incredible stories.
Gina Chersavani is a former cap, right?
One of these days, we've got to do a profile on that entire class, because these folks go on to literally shape and change the industry. And so it's a huge opportunity.
Thanks for the idea.
Let's do it. But these folks literally go on and change the industry. And it's our opportunity to fold them in, get them connected to this network, build some skills, and then send them on their way. Shifting into our other team on marketing, I've got Callie and Allie, two young, hungry marketing managers that help support all of our partner program initiatives. So to plug a couple, Most Imaginative Bartender. We recently worked with Florida Cognac on a sustainability challenge. And then all of our foundation initiatives year round with our grants cycle and our education cycle. Those two handle all of it, which is incredible. And then on our partnerships team, the folks that, thankfully bring dollars into the foundation stores. Taylor sits on top of that department. We've got several folks on that team. Anna, we've got Amanda, we've got Caitlin, and we've got Paige, who run our partnerships program. And then I've got one other person, Ashley, that helps support our board coordination. Last year, we brought on new board members, which was such an incredible feat. John Gakuru, Claire Warner, Tess Posthumus, Perry Scholes, based in New Orleans, in addition to Gary Solomon Sr., Gary Solomon Jr., and then Neil Bodenheimer, who we have to thank for being in this beautiful space
We
today.
thank you today, Neil. We certainly appreciate it.
So lean, mean team. We obviously also bring on, seasonal folks to help us with Tales. Interns we love. Those are the folks that help us with all the details in the weeds. And then, volunteers. We have an incredible team of volunteers that come back every year. We've got repeat volunteers and contract staff that have done this for almost 21 years, which is incredible and just speaks to people's passion for supporting this festival and keeping it going.
Right.
I mean, we're so fortunate, truly. And then, of course, all of our committees that sit on Spirited Awards, philanthropy and development, education, catalysts that donate their time, volunteer their time to make sure that our work gets to happen. So,
I really appreciate you taking the time to acknowledge. It was a mouthful.
it's a lot, but I mean,
But
it's
these
also
folks are the
these
reason that Tales of the Cocktail Foundation runs like a tight ship.
Yeah.
It's the effort is really evident during that whole week of the Super Bowl, which is Tales, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I appreciate that. Shout out to everybody involved in Tales of the Cocktail Foundation, whether or not you work for the foundation, whether you volunteer for the foundation. This is a spectacular opportunity to just say thanks.
Yes, and thank you, truly, and to our partners, right?
Yes.
Who have supported us, over the years, and continue investing not just in the foundation, but the foundation's work, which is in service of the industry. And
Right.
so, truly, we could not be where we are and where we are planning to go without every single person we just talked about and all of the partners in the background that make it work.
And certainly, please forgive us if we've left anybody out. Exactly. All the love all around. Let's share it. Well, let's go back to, my focus again is the education and the content. And there's 2 rock star panels that you have coming up.
Yeah.
Here are my spectacles. 2 that I want to bring note to, and then there's a couple of more seminars I want to mention. Turn Your Pipe Dream into Reality, a guide in high-level career development presented by La Grande Familia Bacardi. That team of power hitters when it comes to success in the bar industry is just going to be mesmerizing to watch.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, Alex, Day, Anu, that conversation is going to be incredible because it's going to be tactical, right?
Right.
What I think both of them bring in particular are really takeaways from that conversation that you can take and apply to your career. And Alex in particular serves on one of our education committees. And
Alex Day, of course, is partner in Gin and Luck and Death and Company,
which I think is opening a bar in DC momentarily.
Yes, I can't wait.
Yeah. So
biting my nails.
I know it's coming. I'm assured it's coming. And so I think that panel is going to be incredible.
Yes. And then Anu is a real force to be reckoned with in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, Seattle. Yep.
No question. And then the other rock star panel that I wanted to make mention of, a mob of mentors. You'll have to say this word for me. Global Picha Kucha Showcase presented by Patron Tequila. That's as good as I got.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's a Japanese term, and the format of that is really exciting. So Lauren Mode is behind it, who is also a co-chair on our education committee on the business track, and her idea in the format of this is going to be fascinating. We're taking all of our, or not all, but quite a few of our international and U.S. Mentors, the folks that have won our Spirited Awards for Mentor, and we're actually doing these incredible. I think it's 3-minute sessions with each individual where there's 20 pictures on a slide, and they have 2 minutes, I think, to talk through what mentorship
That's going to be
means.
bonkers.
It's going to be bonkers. It's going to be fast, and it's going to be all of the industry icons and legends that sharing through pictures and through a very curated conversation in 2 minutes flat what mentorship means to them.
Well, that sounds like it's not to miss either.
No, it's going to be amazing.
A couple of other seminars that I wanted to quickly mention. How to get featured in top national media, Rolling Stone, ABC's Good Morning America, Town and Country, and more. Hannah Lee, president and founder of Hannah Lee Communications, as well as Michael
Stedding.
Yep. Thanks so much. You rescued me. They just recently put out a cocktail book of as well. That's doing very well.
They are a prolific duo, and we're really excited. We're taking a number of their scholars. They do a scholarship program.
The scholarship program is bonkers.
We're going to have, I think it's 4 or 5 that'll be coming through Tales that we've been very excited to
That's
support.
A very, very generous program and such a great opportunity for bartenders to attend an educational conference of their choice with money contributed toward that cause. That's a brilliant program.
That's great.
I strive to build a program just like that when I grow up.
And we're happy to support in our small way.
Celebrating our legacy. Inspiration and representation presented by Uncle Nearest Premium Whiskey. Victoria Edie Butler is the master blender, and then Tiffany Barrier, thank you, as well as Josh Davis from Brown and Balance. That's really going to be an interesting seminar
panel
as well.
Yeah, I mean, what more can you say about that brain trust?
Yeah, exactly.
I will be in that room.
Do you even whiskey? The barriers holding women back in the industry, presented by Glenfiddich. Tracy Franklin will be there with bells on, I'm sure. She was one of last year's, as we mentioned earlier, Dame Hall of Fame. And then she's also doing Creating Access to Equality Within the Beverage Industry, and that's presented by Pronghorn. Now, I'm not sure that Tracy is the lead on those, but that's the person that I know and recognize. Sure. So please forgive me if I don't mention everybody. This is really rich.
It's great.
It's really rich. Give them their flowers. Black and brown success stories and opportunities beyond the multicultural brand ambassador role. Presented by Ciroc and De Leon Rum. Tiffany Barrier again. That's not to be missed either. I can't clone myself.
I know. There's so much, and honestly, like, I think we're so fortunate to have folks like Tiffany who support a couple different seminars, and I think that speaks to how interconnected this community is, and how everybody is happy to lend their experience to different panels. And
if you can't catch them in one seminar, you can catch them in another. And then the truer vision, diversity as the pathway to profitability. Jackie Summers, Jack from Brooklyn, he is a dynamic speaker.
Jackie's amazing.
Everybody listens. Like E.F. Hutton, when Jackie talks, people listen.
We're very, very grateful to have Jackie as part.
Then out of many, one rum, how Jamaica rum is taking on the world, presented by Appleton Estate. Ian Burrell, the global brand ambassador for rum. That's right. He's going to be presenting. Both Jack and Ian were very generous with their time with me last year as well. And I mean, again, I wasn't anybody on the scene except really networking hard to figure out my way to contribute. And both of them shared their time with me very generously. So I appreciate, shout out to both of them.
Oh, well, a shout out also to your enthusiasm for this industry, and like the pursuit of the perfect cocktail, and making sure that you're talking to folks that are equally as excited. So no wonder they want to talk to you. Truly.
It's kind of infectious, huh?
It totally is.
Well, I think that really, that's a lot of words.
Just a couple things.
Just a few things. I think
things to do with Tales this year.
I think that really helps me figure out how I'm going to move through Tales of the Cocktail this year. How do you move through Tales of the Cocktail? That's really the question to answer.
Well, we were laughing. It is a marathon, not a sprint. And, speaking to the no and low APV options at Tales, highly recommend.
Lynn House calls it Tales of the Water.
Tales of the Water.
Tales of the Water. Make sure you stay hydrated while you're there. Get your rest. Eat well.
Definitely eat well. I think I just go through it with just pure adrenaline and like excitement, honestly. It is such a privilege to have Tales host this global industry, and to have people choose to come to New Orleans, which, I've said before, it has main character energy in who Tales is. Like, New Orleans is the hospitality capital of the world. I had a very fun conversation with Singapore, who alleges they are too. And that's how we got together, so we could have like a beautiful collaboration. But truly, New Orleans is the best place to host this. It always has to be New Orleans, because we really, truly, we have created our own brand of hospitality, and, we invented the cocktail, right? And so it is truly a privilege to be able to welcome folks from around the world, despite, whether you're starting your career or you are one of the Dave Wondridges of the world that continue to come back because they want to be inspired and they want to be connected. And so I couldn't be more excited. 21 years this year.
That's nothing to shake a stick at.
No, it's
and then
not.
Of course we don't want to forget to mention Jared Brown and Anastasia Miller. That's right, because the two of them, they're timeless.
Oh, they are.
When it comes to Tales of the Cocktail, they've really contributed a lot of their time and effort throughout Tales history.
We started literally as a walking tour of the French Quarter and evolved into who we are now, a global conference and festival for drinks professionals and for folks that are cocktail curious.
Right.
For folks who want to actually come and learn more. And I think we've seen quite a bit over the years of how much more informed consumers are. And I will say the type of consumer that comes to Tales are super informed. They know what they're drinking. They're really interested in techniques. They're really interested in unique spirits. And I hope that grows.
I think it's a great opportunity to appreciate other people that appreciate the details.
Absolutely.
The way to connect in New Orleans in this 1 week period is magical.
It's magical.
It's magical. And the energy I feel after Tales, and of course I get to relive it through editing interviews and stuff. It blows my mind how much information, how much rich culture you can take in from Tales.
I agree. And it's important for New Orleans too. I mean, we generate $22 million of economic impact for hosting Tales. And everyone asks me all the time, like, why in the hell are we going to New Orleans in July? Why? And it's because it is a difficult time for the hospitality industry in July. And we specifically wanted to generate revenue so that we're supporting bars and restaurants during a really difficult time, because it often means the difference between, furloughing or closing, and we generate a significant economic impact. And truly, we do believe that it is the hub of hospitality. And so, big shout to New Orleans. Nowhere else.
Eileen Wayner, I can't thank you enough for sharing your time with us today, with me today, and our viewers, of course. Thank you for hanging in there with us as we talk about how we're going to tackle Tales this year.
Let's do it.
Tales of the Cocktail, again, the dates?
July 23rd through 20th.
July 23rd through 28th. Tickets are on sale.
Talesofthecocktail.org.
Yes, and you can buy day passes, you can buy week passes, and you can figure out how you want to experience Tales, because there's so many different opportunities to get what you want out of it. You want to go for a party? There'll be a party.
There's something for everybody.
There's something for everybody.
I guarantee you.
Anyway, it was a delight to host you today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. This is Perfect Cocktail Pursuits, and my name is Rosalina Africano. My special guest today, Eileen Wayner. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Cheers. We'll see you next time. We'll see you at Tales.
See you at Tales.
See you at Tales. Bye. Perfect Cocktail Pursuits would like to thank Dauphines DC for their hospitality. Thank you to Eileen Wayner, CEO of Tales of the Cocktail Foundation, for joining us. Let's connect. PerfectCocktailPursuits.com